Chris, does it get much tougher than this? I suppose Sydney, the reigning premier, up there at the SCG, they play that ground team anyway.
Yeah, they do. It's hard to determine at this stage of the year who the best side in the competition is, but we certainly regard Sydney as one of those teams. Exceptional for parts of the game last week, and probably starting to hit some of their best form now that we've played 3 games of footy. A challenge for us. We played quite poorly there in the first quarter last time, and that was a long time ago, 12 months ago. But we have had a little bit of a pattern of lapsing in periods of games, so we've got to make sure that we play consistently this week.
Andreas Everett, remember last year that was came on as the sub and kicked that goal. It was a heartbreak at the time. There's been some thrillers. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, we've played in a few the last couple of years, and it was a really good effort to get back into the game. I think we were 7 goals down at quarter time, so that happened to us quite recently from memory. So we've got to make sure that we do our best to not allow that to happen again. But as I've said a few times, we're pretty confident that even if we do have lapses, that we can come back pretty hard. So it's not the preference, but it is possible.
Have you spoken to Brad about the facing the weekend?
No, I haven't. No, I try not to make a habit of that. I mean, really, there are some specifics for the opposition every week, but we're very much a team that concentrates on what we do well first and then has a look at the opposition. So I'm sure at times through the year we'll have a chat, but it's not something we do as a matter of course.
Trevor Marco having the surgery today.
It's really unfortunate that he's in this position, but the prognosis is as expected. He's going to miss 3 months. The fortunate part of that is he's back running after 5 or 6 weeks, so he's going to be in pretty good condition when he's available, to be involved in contact training and matches. But we'd love to have him in the meantime. Unfortunately, we won't. That gives another opportunity to one of our young players this week. But yeah, it's bad news for Trav, but it's not the end of the world.
Who's in line to replace Trav?
There are a few. Yeah, there are a few. James Kelly will be close to being available again. He missed last week with a relatively minor issue. We'd like to think that he'll be available. George Hall-Smith played exceptionally well in the VFL last week, so he's been pushing hard all year, played round 1 obviously. Mitch Brown continues to press his case, and Jared Rivers could be available as well. So we have some other options besides those guys, but they're the main ones.
It's a pretty quick recovery because we thought Rivers could be a little bit longer than that. Is that sort of a good news that he's come back so quick?
Oh, well, we always thought it was somewhere between 2 and 5. I know that's a broad range, but it'll be 3 weeks that he's missed, so pretty much right in the middle. Yeah, I don't think it's unexpected.
What about Darko out? Does that make Motlop's and guys like Motlop and Christian suddenly all that much more important counter-attacking style game?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, we've learned to play without Travis. Obviously, he's a bonus, but I think Motlop's a better player now than he was last year. Taylor Hunt's certainly a better player. Billy Smeds has improved. Kelly coming back will help. I'd like to think we've always been a team that spreads the load across that midfield group, and I think that we've shown even in the early rounds of the season that without really high quality players like Steve Johnson and James Kelly, we've been able to cover. So hopefully that's the same this week with Travis.
Stevie J, good to play?
Yep, no worries.
How far away is Hamish McIntosh?
Vardy could have played VFL this week, probably at a stretch, but the likelihood is that we'll hold him over for 1 more, so he'll certainly play the week after.
In the VFL?
In the VFL, yeah, absolutely, yeah. We certainly won't be rushing Nathan back into the AFL system. A bit the same as Dan Menzel, would be expecting him to play some reasonable minutes in the VFL before we even consider those guys for the AFL program. Hamish is probably a little bit behind Bards, but hopefully not too far. He's had a few slight complications with other body parts. He's got a bit of a sore Achilles at the moment, so his knee's going well. But it's a bit like a few of our guys. It's just been one thing after another for Hamish, so we feel for him a bit. But the important thing is that when we bring him back to play AFL footy, he'll be well and truly ready for it and in a position to play his best.
How did Dan Menzel after Sunday, the initial reports watching the website, whether he pulled up okay 24, 48 hours, 72 hours down the track? How was it?
Yeah, really, really good. Yeah, we were confident that he could have played more footy, but took the conservative option to ice him at three-quarter time, and he's pulled up really well. I think he's probably pulled up worse from some of the training sessions he's done leading into that game, so that's a good sign. He'll play a little bit more this week, but yeah, as I said earlier, he'll need to play quite a few more VFL minutes before we consider him for the next step.
Josh Hunt.
Yeah, Josh got through, a bit like Menz, did what he needed to do, just get some game time and get a feel for footy again. But Josh is a little bit behind in terms of his conditioning. We'd love to have him fully fit back in the AFL team, but that's going to be at least a few weeks off.
2011, you won the flag, was sort of, you found a way to win like you are this year. Do you see any similarities? You're not playing your best football yet, but you somehow get across the line. And if that is the case, later on in the season, would you rest some of the players like you did and rotate them through?
Oh, we've been pretty clear that we take a very conservative approach with our injured players or guys with slight niggles. Also that we think we've got a big squad of players that can contribute to our AFL system. So irrespective of the win-loss, we won't be playing 24 or 25 players through this season. It'll be more like 30, 32. How we do that is yet to be determined, although we have a broad plan for that. And with respect to 2011, try not to look too far into the past. I mean, we have been fortunate in some ways to get over the line the first 3 weeks, and you know that can be critical in what is a very tight competition. But I'm more concerned about how we're going to play into the second part of this year than the way we played 2 years ago.
Could Joel Hamling be part of that 30 to 32 players after his impressive performance in the VFL?
He marked the ball well, didn't he? He looked. He's always been a very strong mark. When he can get a jump at the ball, he's hard to stop. But with respect to Joel, right at the moment, he's a little way off probably that top 30 or 32, but he was our first round pick and we've invested a lot in him. We've got high hopes for Joel, but it's more a long-term thing with him, and he's probably not at the stage where we're considering him for AFL selection, but you never say never.
Taylor Hunt's run with role proved pretty important in the overall scheme of things against Carlton, but the Swans have such a varied body types in their midfield. Do you look to reprise that run with?
Yeah, they've got a few options that are very good matchups for Taylor. Difficult matchups, but ones that suit him and his capabilities. But Taylor's been an important part of our defence as well, so we have that option up our sleeve. I think Sydney have a very good midfield, but Judd, Murphy, Gibbs, Simpson are pretty handy as well. So the challenge doesn't seem to decrease too much week to week. The good teams have pretty good midfield, so I'm sure Taylor will be through the midfield at times this week, but I suspect he'll play back at times as well.
What makes the Swans so tough? What's their biggest asset?
Oh, they're pretty strong around the contest. I think their game plan has become a little bit more sophisticated over the last 18 months, but still their strength is in the contest. They prioritise defence. They play a pretty hard man-on-man style of game and value accountability outside the contest. So that's going to be a challenge for us. We, in some ways, think we play a pretty similar style of footy. Unfortunately, in the early rounds of the year, we haven't been as good inside the contest and inside the stoppages, so we're going to need to improve to at least match them. But yeah, although their game style outside has changed a little bit, I think inside the contest is still their strength.
3 games along, how are you seeing the progress of Mark Fitzgerald?
Yeah, well, we couldn't be happier really. I mean, if we were going to compare where he's at now to our expectation, then it'd be off the charts. So yeah, he's got a long way to go to reach his peak, but we're really happy with the role he's doing for the team and very impressed with the way he's developing as an individual. There will be weeks where we don't play him. And maybe even this week after 3 games of footy might be a week where we consider giving him a little bit of a spell. He's not a hardened AFL player, but we're still yet to make that decision. But I think irrespective of whether Mark plays in any given week, we see him as being a valuable part of our team later on in the year.
Just with the SCG, you broke off the ground today for training and trained in the dimensions, or do you not?
No, you can make it shorter, but you can't make it wider, unfortunately. So it would be nice, but I think we played the MCG round 1, which is it's longer, but it's wide like the SCG. Etihad's different again. I think even though we were beaten last time we played there, it was only by 4 points. So I think we need to take into account the dimensions of the ground, but we won't go to any drastic measures to make sure we're acclimatised.
You mentioned Sydney were good on the inside. How much time do you sort of give to the numbers so far this year in terms of the clearances and stuff like that, where it's sort of been down?
Yeah, look, it's important. It's really it's a big puzzle, and that's one part of the puzzle. We'd like to be going better than we are, and we expect to improve in that area. But if you look purely at the results, I think it shows that it's not the be all or end all. We'd like to be better. We think if we are better in there, the overall team performance will improve. But it's not to say that if you get beaten in the stoppages, you'll lose the game.